Hey, dude.
Got a bit of a we got like we're good this time?
Don't tell me we've got a delay this time.
Oh, we got the delay again.
Right.
Oh no, I think we're good.
I think we're good.
Hey.
Yeah.
People, last time we did this, it was like we're talking from the moon. But
It
I
was
think
funny.
well, it's funny. Good
It was
stuff.
funny. Yeah, cool, man. Um,
Nice.
what you just said now, taking risks and failing. Geez, I must be such a natural born leader with all the failures that I've had.
Yes. So you're full of knowledge, are you?
I know. Uh, But no, that actually it ties in nicely with what we did when you came along to our training with the team session on Tuesday. Um, it's so cool to test the boundaries in a way that you didn't know in terms of a movement, and just explore a movement in a different
Yes.
way. Go to failure, and work out, okay, what do I need to do to come back from that? So in terms of movement, finding your failure point is awesome. It's great learning.
Absolutely. Yeah, I got to remind my hips that it was awesome. That was a good moment.
Hey,
Um,
Brittany.
but man, yeah, that was so good. It wasn't even, and let's just, I've said this a few times on the show just throughout the week. It wasn't even like, okay, that was a cool exercise. I've never done it before. That's part of it. It
Mhm.
was the methodology behind it, like just the way you thought through the exercise, the way that you set exercises up down the road. It's like that piece is something that I like to do, and you did it in a different way. So that was the piece that was, like I've said, like you're going to a dance club, you saw a move, and you're going to take it to another dance club and do it like it's your own move.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, it's it is really fun, and this is why um, I, I really these started to being collaborative sessions within my studio. Everybody came in the studio, and we just it was a tag team, right? I'll come up with
Yes,
this one, next person comes up with this one, and we end up with just a smorgasbord of exercises, which was really cool. But because it just wouldn't work that way in the social media. Hey, buddy, we're going to get this distraction. Hi, mate. Yeah, we're dancing. Come and say hi. Say hi to Martin. Say hi to Martin. There you go. Okay.
hey.
You're dancing? Off you go. Yeah, dancing. So I've got to dance for a bit, and then he's good. Bye. And uh, but we can't really collaborate during the training with the team online in the same
Right.
way.
Yes.
Because there is the lag. Someone's got to unmute themselves or whatever. So by asking people, an individual person, what do you want to work on today specifically? That is absolutely not what I had planned. Um,
Yes.
and it means that I need to think of, how do I make today's session relevant to that? So instantly I've got to come up with, okay, I've got a framework of what I know I want to roughly be doing. And you'll recognize there's a
Right.
similarity between all of them. But to work to your framework, the single leg stretch, hip exploration, that is what brought on some new stuff.
Yes.
So in
Yes.
response to that, and we all have that dance move of the single leg stretch, but how can we make it different? And also the parameters of being within this space, a mat,
Yes.
gravity, and not being able to play with the easy things of adding springs or adding weight or adding some kind of resistance or a strange surface or whatever. So
Yes.
the parameters make us creative as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, love that. And in it's kind of similar way, it's like these conversations. Like I could sit here with, 17 scripted questions to ask you for the hour, or I could just listen to what you're saying and then allow that to take us where we go. Right. And it's so funny that that can be scary because we could fail. You could fail epically. Someone could be like, "Oh, my neck!" It's like, okay, pause. Or we could get on a topic that just, it turns into this full blown argument or something like that. That sort of thing. Not that that would, but it's just interesting. We just go into those places where we just have to trust our training, trust our fundamentals, trust our exploration of movement or whatever, and go where it takes us, right?
Yeah. Yeah, I think it is really fun that way, and I think that that free flow has been some of the most rewarding moments that I've had, certainly lately, to just accept things are where they are today, whether it's on a personal level in terms of, I'm not as strong, or I'm too tired or whatever compared to what I know I should be.
Yes.
To explore what I have today rather than worrying about what I don't have. Just like you were saying now, if I focus on the bad things, then I will just drive into those bad things. Whereas if I try and get around the bad things, that's really cool.
Yes,
but
absolutely.
One thing I like, right? My clients give me this all the time. Clients come in. Are we still there, Martin?
Yep,
still there. Okay, so clients come in and say, "Oh, I've got a sore knee. Can we not do anything about the knee?" Yeah, fine. Yeah, sure. Let's work around that knee, shall we? Like, I didn't want to do the knee. Yeah, I know. We're going to do everything else, but we still need to work towards the pain. So not avoiding completely, just wrapping it around and probing it.
Yes. Well, that takes, I mean, that takes experience, confidence, trust in the person that you're working with, right? I've shared stories in the past of when I was in personal training, and a personal trainer would quit, and then you have to take on their client in their transition. So I'm walking around with this client, and there's all the set machines in this one area, and as we're walking by, she's like, "I've never been in that area because I have a knee injury." And I was like, "That whole side of this building you've never been in?" Yeah, my trainer said it because I have a knee. I can't do leg press. I can't do this. I can't do that. And it's like, well, then you never actually get to explore, the range of what the body can do and all these different things. But it takes a sense, once again, of just understanding some fundamentals and being able to have a relationship with people where you can explore that and figure out what they can do and work around the muscles and set them up, right? So yeah, that's the next level. But Yoka, I just actually want to take a moment and just talk about your actual Pilates background, like how you found Pilates, what courses you've done, stuff like that, to bring you to this point.
Okay. I started Pilates for the sake of vanity, because I don't know how old you are, but I guarantee you look younger than you are, right? You're an attractive,
46
healthy-looking man. What'd you say?
46.
46, right? So you're the classic example. You're what I saw 20 odd years ago. I met a guy who was just handsome, well-built, good-looking, healthy-looking guy.
Yeah. And
he looked about 35, and all he did was Pilates. And I was a soldier, lifter, surf lifesaver down the beach. So I was into traditional exercises, but I thought, ooh, I need that. And I just wanted to look good at 45. So that's why I took it up.
Yeah, right.
But then when I came to the UK is when I started for real. And I started with Body Control Pilates, a local, the biggest provider of Pilates training here in the UK. I also trained with the Pilates Foundation, a bigger group, but a smaller sort of individual teacher. And had my own mat work studio. So when I started, I just started with mat work. And that might be why I enjoy the training with the teams. Yes. Because that's sort of where it came from. So even though I was comprehensively trained, I was just doing mat work, but still doing lots of one-to-ones and giving homework. And I guarantee that I was a better mat work teacher for having done the full range of exercises, because right. I was thinking about movement in different ways.
Absolutely.
And then I had the capacity to move to a different building and set up an apparatus studio. And after that, during that, mate, there's a nice period when you're setting up a studio and you've got some money to spend with a Pilates equipment company, because they treat you golden for a month or two. When they can see some sales coming up. So, yeah, would you like some of this? And you want to do some of that? Yeah, cool. So I was courted by the equipment providers, and eventually I went with Balanced Body, and they sent me to Pilates on Tour in London, and gave me a booklet of passing the torch. Senior teachers passing on their knowledge to junior teachers. Yes. And Lolita San Miguel, I'd been to a workshop of hers, and I saw her. She was in the lineup there. I couldn't do anything about it at the time, but a couple of years later, I had the space, the brain space, and capacity to audition for her course. That's pretty scary, filming, teaching, and performing. Yes. So I sent an audition over to her, and she accepted that, and I went across. And Brittany, who I saw here, right? She was one of the people in my original master mentorship program with Lolita.
Okay.
And I made the mistake, Martin.
It's funny.
Googling the other 9 people on my course. Oh no! Don't Google people.
Yes.
That you spend time with, because they're flaming awesome. But the good thing is they were terrified of me. So
that's what I was gonna say. Yeah. I usually have to have both sides of the self-talk. Where I look at that, I'm like, they're so good at, like, so are you, and they're probably scared of you as well. Like,
exactly. So it worked out all right. So I trained, did that 2-year course with Lolita, and that was good, interesting, tough, but gave me a lot of. Again, you mentioned in your intro, one of her absolute skills is to bring the best out of the individual and to give you permission to be you. So it was okay for me to not be from a dancer's background, to not be a gymnast, to be a guy, to still have something to say within the Pilates industry. I can't do what Brittany can do, but I still have something valid to say, and that's really important. So that was good. I'm now an educator for a teacher training program, and we've been trundling along for a few years. But the little guy that came in just before, Albie, he is the star of my show, and everything else in Pilates has made me feel good, and has made me enjoy life and given me a purpose. But as soon as he came in, life has changed. I now have a purpose, and that's to help.
Yeah, I mean, for some of the people here in the chat may not know. Can you just share Albie's story, please? That's so true. It's amazing. So
Albie is 4 years old. He has a genetic condition called Prader-Willi syndrome, which floppy baby is how they present to start with. So you could hold him like this, and he literally would have just hung down either side like a floppy.
Like a rag doll, yes.
And they're floppy for a long. He's still floppy there because they have low tone. So he will always have low muscle tone, and he just can't do as much as a kid without low tone. He has global delay, so developmental delay, cognition delay, and these sorts of things as well. And Pilates is just a really good way of helping him to move and feel better. And it's as if my wife and I have trained everything that we've done in life has trained us to be the perfect parents for this kid. She's got the education down pat. She's a fun, exciting, cool mum. I know about movement. I know about encouraging people. I know, I look at a body and I can
intuitively, assess. Yeah.
So, and I was actually thinking about this in the car on the way here, that, I love training people like you. It was really fun to have you with us at Training with the Team the other day, because we can have a conversation about stuff that we explored and discovered, right? But you don't need me. You've done well enough without me in your life to where you are, right? So if you don't see me, it's no problem. Whereas Albie, there is nobody that's going to take him where he needs to be and where he could be in life. And unless we do it, it's not going to happen because the system isn't going to do it. So we have the privilege and just the responsibility to make him the best he can be.
Yes.
Wow, what a it's a challenge, but it's a real honor to do that because he is one funny kid. He's just he may well come back in again if they sing a song during the TV program that we've plonked him in front of now. He has to come here and say, "Daddy, there's a song going on." Okay, dance for a bit, and then he'll work with.
And he's gone. Yes, that's I put that in my post the other day with my son with his for his birthday, and it's the same for moms too. But just speaking dad to dad, that sense of awesome responsibility. Like you looking like, okay, the times that you were exhausted, the times that you feel like you have nothing left in the tank, the times that you have just given everything to everywhere else, you still find something to give to your kids.
Just like that.
Just like that.
Yeah. Yeah, it's amazing, right?
Yeah.
As well, she's older, and I found it more with her. She woke up in the middle of the night, so we noticed sort of the late nights and the early mornings with her more. But walking around my living room, bouncing a little baby up and down like this at 3 a.m. is way easier than being awake all night in freezing temperatures, staring into the darkness in military training. So it's like by comparison, much easier. But yeah, right. Somehow, like what was it we did? You just you're lying in bed. If you hear the door knocking at 11 o'clock at night, you've gone to bed and you hear the door knocking, someone's at the door, you're like, oh, here we go, whatever, and you crawl out of bed to see what's going on. If you hear a kid fall out of bed in the middle of the night, it's like,
yes,
it's amazing. It is amazing. So yeah, it's but what a responsibility, and for him, it's a slow time thing as well. Part of his condition, I suppose, that we find a lot more energy for. The patience that you have to have with him, the way he speaks is pretty difficult to understand. So in the middle of chaos, dogs and other kids and family and things boiling on the stove and TV or whatever, you just have to focus in and say, what were you trying to say, mate? And oh, okay, yeah, you're talking about something that we saw this morning. Right, we can't do that again. We need to move forwards now. It's not just that instant reaction. With him, everything is in slow motion, which is really interesting.
Yes.
So it'd be cool. You'll meet him at some point, and he is hilarious.
I'm still looking forward to that. Yeah, it's like I see your posts, and I mean, I'm sure as everyone who's just watching now can also imagine, like that must inform your teaching of everyday people in such a massive way. Like the amount of capacity you have for empathy and communication and patience. You know what I mean? That's next level, right? Like,
without a doubt, it's in fact we have a teacher training weekend coming up tomorrow and Sunday, and I've already organized for him, my wife, along Saturday morning at some point, so that the students who are looking at how to use a reformer for the regular person, I'm going to show them this is how you use a reformer on this tiny human that can't walk properly. How are you going to address footwork for this kid? And if you can do something with him, you can do something with Martha, who just walked in the door. So it's he and also the breakdowns, the regressions of a basic exercise. Like he couldn't sit against gravity, so we started him lying down. And pitched him up, and this is over a matter of weeks and months. So it takes us from the mat work to proper standing upright gravity,
Yes.
which we would do with a real client in the space of a session. We say, right, you
Right.
can do an exercise here, you could do it sitting, and then you do it standing, and then you take it into your real life. Whereas with him, we can't promise anything because he's not going to listen to details. But you just have to work this, show him something interesting down here and up here and up here, and eventually up there. And we're not there yet.
Right.
After 3 years of working with him.
Right. That's exactly it. I love talking regressions of exercises. Like it's a cheap gift to make an exercise harder. Like it really is it's the higher calling when you can take a complex 5-star exercise and break it into the bite-sized pieces and get someone to own each part, the minutia of each movement, right? And go from there. So yeah, you're on the long path with your son with that, whereas that whole thing happens within the course of 50 minutes with someone else. So it's fascinating. That's, for me, that's absolutely fascinating. Like I appreciate your attention to detail with that.
Yeah. It makes life it makes it really interesting, right? So his developmental stages, the milestones, they're totally inch stones for him.
Yes.
And what that gives us is a chance to really explore stuff. So most kids can walk. They're threatening to walk, and then 3 days later they're walking. So you go away for a business, miss it, and suddenly they're walking. Whereas he was threatening to walk for weeks and then months. So it meant that we could look at, okay, if he's stepping his foot that way forward, what's happening with the foot? What if we put his foot into brace?
Yeah.
What if we put his knees into a brace? What if we put his hips into a brace? How does that change things? And also, you've got to be economical with your options, because he fatigues so quickly. So the video that I put on Facebook just this week is 7 minutes of exercise, 640 or something, right?
Right.
In half an hour, that is all we managed to do with him before he was done.
Yeah.
So you don't have a lot of time to mess about with stuff that you know isn't going to work. So you try this. If it fails this week, then you've got to try a slightly different version next week.
Yes.
But you only have that small window.
So that is the practical application of the phrase I learned in my teacher training, which I've always loved: economy of words.
Right. Yeah.
Right. So that economy of words in your cues and stuff is so crucial there, because if you miss it, you miss it. If you wasted your time with the wrong words, then the whole moment's gone.
Yeah. Oh, without a doubt.
Yeah.
And choose the right words, and it just flows, right?
Right. Yes.
And I think, I've taught Pilates in Swedish to non-Swedish speakers by using economy of words. If you use the right word with the right intonation at the right time, you can tell people exactly what, you can put them through an entire movement.
Yes.
No problem. I've taught military fitness that way. It's a little bit easier maybe in military fitness because you can just get loud and get forceful, and people are going to move with you or against you or whatever.
Yes.
So Pilates is a little bit more subtler. But the two cross-pollinate as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. So, well, yeah. And actually, let's talk about that. I forgot about the military side. So we're actually, even before we get into that, I just think that it's fascinating as movers and people who are passionate about movement, that we've spent that much time just breaking down the nuances of your son's movement from what can he do. Like, I love that sense. Okay, what can he do? Okay, great. Let's build off of that. Let's build off of that. And you could celebrate that movement and just dive deep on it in such a fun way.
Yeah.
Actually, here's a question that came through.
So,
yes, so there's a question here, Joakim. It says, what is a good example of wrong words versus right words?
Well, in terms of Albie, right? No, do you know what? Talking to the audience, I think, rather than saying specific words, speaking the language of the audience. And we spoke about this last time. In fact, we spoke about this, you and I, prior to our previous, in the introduction. if you speak the language of the audience, then they're going to listen to you. Whereas if you speak your language and just keep your language going, they're not going to follow you. So an example with Albie is that I cannot talk to him like this. I've got to say, here he comes now, actually. Oh, is there a song going on? Here we go. Come on here, mate. Come in. Come on, buddy. The dancing. Oh, okay. Was that a quick one? Right. No one's going to believe that I've got a son. They're just going to see that I'm pretending. There was singing between. So, but that's how I've got to speak to him, because if I'm not excited and
animated,
it's just not going to happen. I can't say the show is going to start again. I've got to say the show's coming again. Equally with the military people, I cannot go in and say, so, how were you since last time? Did you feel great with what we did? Right? Did that really hit the spot? And did we want to improve on that? With the military, I'm going to say, right, remember what we did last time? We're going to do the same thing again, but we're doing it twice. Are we ready? Go.
Right. Yes.
It's a different thing. But the funniest time when I missed my audience type of language was I was teaching my wife's at my wife's high school, 15-year-old girls. It was a PE lesson for the high school. I was invited in to do 4 weeks of Pilates for an hour and a half on a Wednesday morning. First session went really well, and we did some bar type stuff. Hi, buddy. Listen, it's going to come on again. Come and say hi to Martin. There's Martin. You want to say hi? So there's Martin.
Hey.
Listen, the Paw Patrol is going to come on, okay? You can see the Paw Patrol. I promise you. Okay, we can get Carrot later on. But that's Martin. Look, he's waving to you. Do you want to do some bouncy, bouncy? Bouncy, 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 bounce, pop, pop. Bouncy, 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 bounce, pop, pop. Yeah, bouncy, bouncy, yeah, bouncy, bouncy. Bouncy, 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 bounce, pop, pop. Is that enough? See you later. Yeah, we'll see you later. Okay? So, I've got to speak special language to him. Anyway, I'm at school with these schoolgirls. And the first session went really well. Second session, I'm walking in there thinking, I want to teach these people about shaking hands with their feet. And I'm going to show them how feet are really important. We get good grounding. And I'm going to make them feel much better about everything, because they're going to feel so good about,
You're going to change their life with the nuances of footwork.
I'm going to change their life. Exactly. I'm going to change a generation, because these girls are going to talk to their friends. They're going to think it's awesome.
Right.
So 5 minutes into an hour and a half of class, I say, right, girls, sit down, take your shoes and socks off, and we're going to do shaking hands with the feet. So, girls, can anybody do it? And they're like, nah. Yeah, arms crossed. Well, I'm touching feet. They're disgusting.
Right.
And so I get the language wrong for these girls. And when people don't say what I want them to say, I switch into military PTI mode, where I just grow bigger and I start saying, right, we'll be doing push-ups for the rest of the hour. And I thought to myself, I can't say that to 15-year-old girls.
Right.
I really had, petrified.
Yes.
And white sweat just came out. Yeah, I'm cold, and it was horrendous. I had no skills to deal with that whatsoever.
Zero capacity.
Zero capacity, because I was speaking the wrong language.
Yes.
So what these girls wanted was, they just wanted to something that wasn't embarrassing,
right,
wasn't personal, that was movement, fitted in with their expectations. So there's an example of bad work.
Yes.
And a bad movement suggestion.
The next one.
Okay.
Yes.
What you gonna do?
The next one.
You want to see the next one.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Good work. So listen, the next one has come on. You can go and see it yourself.
Yeah.
Okay. You can stay and speak to Martin, or you can go and watch the next one yourself. Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, buddy. Yeah, I know. Emotions are pretty sort of right on the edge. Bye bye.
Mhm.
Oh, you'll see the next one. You go watch the TV. You'll see it. I promise you. Yeah. Okay. See you later. Yeah, I'm such a good parent. Just send him in front of the TV.
There you go. Yes. So funny. Like that's you know that's life, right? Like if you have to jump off too, like I'm totally fine. Like
I
it
know
doesn't have to.
he's good now. Like
Yeah.
these are the sort of intervals that we have, right? We need to
Yes.
pay a little bit of attention. Then he will self medicate with television, and you know then he comes out of it. But some shows on TV are fine, and this is interesting. It ties back in with our Pilates practice that we are quite selective with what we give him to see. Some shows are better than others, and some will grab his attention and sort of are positive. Whereas we know that there are some that he switches off from, and when he's not watching those, we have to be focusing in on his goldfish attention span.
Yes. Yes.
And that ties in with his movements. I cannot do more than a few repetitions of any one thing. Then we need to seamlessly move on to the next and do that. And it's got to be an obvious and not contrived. It literally has to be in front of him. So we go from there to there to there. We can't say, right, stop. We've got to reorganize this. So economy of words in between the words as well.
Yes.
So, you know, looking at your place behind you, we could do some balancing on your ladder barrel. Then we would go and do something on your wall unit and then onto the reformer. And we literally have to be, you know, those three things would be about it. And
Yes.
it just has to be a good flow. He doesn't stop and wait. A good lesson to learn because so you know, most of our clients want a flowing session anyway. So he has taught me a lot about life.
Yeah. Right. Exactly. Do you spend a lot of time on transitions? If you're doing one-on-ones with someone, do you spend a lot of time working on what the transition to the next exercise is, and like the transition is the workout kind of approach?
Sometimes you got a taste of my way of working on Tuesday with the training with the team. I reckon I do phrases so that I might transition from an exercise to another to another. I might even transition from one piece of kit to another, but I don't go out of my way to run the whole class from start to finish. It's just, you know, it's not the way I was taught to do it. But I think it has to have a sense of rhythm and flow that works so that it's not just, right, we're going to do this, then we'll turn the page, then we'll do this, and then we'll turn the page. So
right.
I think it has to have a sense of flow, but I don't beat myself up if I don't have, you know, uninterrupted exercises from start to finish.
I hear you. It's like a record. Like it's like all the songs can blend into one another, or you can have the song where you have your verse, your bridge, your chorus, your verse, your bridge, your chorus.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I hear that. Yeah, that's probably the way I teach too. Even when I'm teaching people stuff like take this block of exercises, transition them all together, and take this block of exercises and see how all these tie together. Yeah. Sorry, just reading the comment here. Positively, Pilates was saying earlier about her daughter refused to take her socks off. Just laughing through that story with the girls.
Don't send your daughter to me because I am not good with 15-year-old daughters.
And so at the same time, I think I asked you this question last time too, like your ideal client, right? Like obviously Albie's just amazing for just informing your whole practice. But who are you most excited to work with? Like who do you love to just like spend your energy working on outside of?
So previously, before Albie, it would have been successful male executive. You know, I've sat and I've worked these things out. 45 to 60-year-old man, successful in his own right. Probably, here he goes. Hi, buddy. Yeah, is it finished? There'll be another one coming. Come and talk to us. Come here if you want to talk, okay? You need to stand here if you want to talk. and really successful person in their own right. Probably a good.
The next one.
Yeah, you'll see the next one in a minute. I promise you it will come on. Probably a good athlete, triathlete or runner or cyclist, but they have back pain.
Yes.
You know, generic low back pain.
Yes.
They can't necessarily. Well, they've never looked into what they can do for it, because that man, and I say man, just because I've looked at all of my clients and who have I got the best feedback, the best response with, and it's been that executive person who thinks I'm expensive, but they're prepared to pay it, and therefore they're bloody well going to get their money's worth, and they're going to do their homework, and they get a result. If people just like me and think that, you know, like, there's got to be a bit of skepticism in there almost, that, yeah, I'm going to try, see what happens.
And if it doesn't work,
then I'm going to have words.
Yes.
Yeah. The next one, I can hear it now. The next one is playing. You can see it. I promise. You go to the next one. Okay? You go and play the next one. Now, this little fella is the guy, and his friends, you know, they're the ones that I get absolute joy out of spending time with.
Absolutely, yeah.
The problem is I earn no money off him. and nor do I earn any money off his friends, because, like, the burden of a kid with special needs, it's a big financial hit, and I can't bring myself to charge money to the other families, because I've worked with a few families with special needs, and yes, it has taken me time and effort and money to get to where I am, and yes, my skills are worth something, but that shouldn't be a barrier to people experiencing what I've learned. So it's you know, it's hard enough for people to come and spend the time with us, with me, that anyone with special needs that wants to come and work with me, I don't charge for it. So it's my favorite person to work with. But if my business was all about that, then no business.
No.
Yeah, you will get some milk later on.
No.
Milk later on, okay? Do you want to show Martin how you say milk? Yeah. Okay. So, what's milk? Can you say milk?
No.
Milk. So he speaks Makaton, which is British kids and special needs kids sign language. So milk is milking the cat. Milk. And what else do you like? You like porridge, that's right. Did you like going to Yoghurt the other day and doing some Pilates?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yoghurt is my work, so we have the old Swedish word infused in here as well. What is Udi? What is Udi? Is he a... He's a dog, that's right. That's his dog. So our dog is called Udi, but this fella can only say Udi.
Is it Odie from Garfield?
Well, no, I've heard that since then. No, it's short for Odin, so King of the Gods. And,
Nice.
but he probably thinks Odie from Garfield would be better.
Yeah.
So the next one is playing. You can go and watch the next one. You want to do it? Come on, mate. And you know, one thing is that
The next one.
no, I'm not going to come and see you, buddy. But I can hear it. I can hear it. So I appreciate that it upsets your flow of conversation, but I don't make apologies for him. And,
Yes.
you know, I will sacrifice anything for him. He's got to live with rules and limitations, right? He doesn't.
Right.
No, he does not get to play with an iPad. No. So, but if he comes and interrupts a class, you know, if I'm teaching a class, then that's just the way it is. I go out of my way not have a class interrupted, and I try, but you know, everything has to come second. Reason. That's Yoghurt, isn't it? That's a picture of Yoghurt. You can see it. So yeah, life skills.
Yeah, that's
what's really important.
Love that. Right.
Yeah. And you, man, what here's a question for you. What
Sure.
would you allow? What would you allow, or what person would you allow to smash your equipment, if anyone?
I would, I love, like I always say, like I like working with men and people who are just new to movement, stuff like that. I would say young people, like like my son's age guys, basketball kids, like those athletes who haven't realized that this can be something that can help them.
Yeah.
Like much like your army guys, right? They're strong and they're mentally tough, but they just don't realize that there's a whole world over here. So for them to come in, just to cut them loose on the equipment, like my 15-year-old comes in here and I'll be doing like airplane and he's never done anything to set airplane up and he'll like, I want to try that. Like, have at it. Like,
Yeah.
So that sort of thing where it's like someone who's strong enough and stable enough that they can't hurt themselves to try something dangerous within the safe confines of what they know their body's capable of. So so like that's the one I want to cut loose there.
Well, and that guy then, when he comes in and does that, he might well do it in a way that you never expected it to be done, right?
Right. Yes.
Because he just does what he perceived that he saw you doing, and it may or may not be right, but it's something that achieves the goal, and at the very least, it will inform versatility in your own teaching.
Yes, exactly. And also the other part to that, which is exciting for me with them, is that they see me do it, they do it on their first try, and then say, okay, regressions. And then you get a chance to like crush them with the regressions of the exercise.
I know.
And now that you understand the regressions and we've set it up, go back and do that again using that muscle and that muscle and that muscle, plus those strong muscles that got you up the first time. Oh, that's what it's supposed to feel like, right?
I have a perfect example of that. I have a perfect example of that myself. Yeah, so with the military guys, the military guys can do push-ups, right, all day long. But I'd set them up for doing a push-up preparation where 4-point kneeling, like literally box 4-point kneeling, and just bend and straighten your arms there. So your nose or your forehead ends up touching the mat. No, let's do it slowly, fellas, and let's keep shoulders away from the ears. And all that stuff. And like they thought this is never going to work because it's such a silly, ridiculously childish way of doing a push-up. No, hang on. Let's just turn this into a proper shoulder and tricep activation. And they found that interesting. But you're right. If we start with the progressions, then it's not interesting for them. But show them the airplane first. They think that's cool, and then crush them with the regressions. That's an awesome way. I'm distracted here because I'm looking at him over in the other corners of the office, which is always dangerous. No, he's gone.
Yes. So fun. I love watching that because I like that's just like, okay, he's safe, let him go. Oh, okay, hold on a second. Okay, like yeah. Nice.
How nice is it when you get pre-trained movers, like and again, training with a team. I don't spend any time coaching in that. I just say, let's do this, let's do that. And even if they've never experienced a movement, they can just get it.
Yes.
Such a lovely thing to teach, right?
Yes. Absolutely. When I was working with my son's team just last week, I was taking them through like I believe it was a squat, I think it was, or something. We're having this talk right at the beginning of the class, and I said to them, "You guys are 14 and 15 years old. Some of you guys can dunk. Some of you guys are just incredible athletes. But when I tell you to squat, your squat is horrible." Mm-hmm. And then they're all like laughing, and I'm saying like, my point is this: you're talented with poor biomechanics. Mm-hmm. How much better will you be as an athlete when you get the biomechanics to catch up with your athleticism?
Yeah.
And they were like, okay, let's get it.
Imagine.
Right? So
Yeah.
Yeah. So that's exactly it. So when we can get them to understand through those regressions, okay, I understand you can dunk, but can you squat? Like let's get that, right?
Yeah, basic human skill.
Yep. Yes.
And the
Yeah.
squat is
So
such a cool thing, right? On its own as an exercise, if we take that out, right? Because it's only a few hundred years that the toilet existed, right? And
right. Yes.
humans squatted. Still, plenty of people in the world squat today. If you couldn't squat as a caveman, you're in trouble, right? So
Right.
you didn't last long if you couldn't squat, and
Right.
so it meant that the old caveman had better knees because they'd been squatting all their lives, and as soon
Yes.
as the knees go, they disappear, and they're not a burden on the rest of the tribe.
Right. We basically called half the population a burden on the tribe right there, but that's fine.
But you know yourself, we can get those people better with their versions of squats.
Yes, absolutely. Good save.
Yeah.
Well, and that's why I highlighted those two posts this morning. Like one where I was doing that rotation one, and two, like the hip open one, that's walking. That's thoracic mobility. Like we walk stiff, and until you can get that mobility, you can't move as fast as you can, as free as you can. Like it just opens your potential for your everyday movement with the most subtle of movements, right? So that's why I highlighted those two. Like, I could have, showed a squat or a bench press or an airplane, but like those subtle movements make such a difference to our everyday life.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And how lovely is it in our method to listen to those small movements, the subtle bits in between, rather than just the big gross movements and the heavier weights or the faster time or the greater number of reps or whatever. It's how lovely to just explore the simplicity of a movement and feeling fine. We engage something here, but what happens elsewhere?
Yes.
Cool thing that we can look at all that. What do we got?
Right. That's a great comment.
The conveniences are now like
all the conveniences. Yes.
Yeah, totally.
Right. Yeah, and I think just for me personally, that's my growing edge too, is incorporating all those tools in my toolbox, to work on the nuances of movements, the regressions, all those things, because we learn the patterns and the 34 movements and how to do a roll up in our teacher trainings, but then we have to on our own refine our pre-Pilates and our movement patterns and all these different things that help us to allow more people to find success in their Pilates practice.
Mm-hmm.
Right. So that's kind of the way that I personally look at it. So yeah, I mean, so my class with you was so rich. Like I'm looking forward to doing more of those. Like Emmett Younger. I decided just today, I'm going to just highlight, there's so many men. I was trying to get Jamie on here as well, even to just pop in for a few minutes, just as to bring that conversation. There's so many guys that are out there teaching Pilates in such a fantastic way, and that their perspective is so rich because we're not dancers, because we're not gymnasts, because of who we work, because of our family lives and all these things. We all bring different pieces to the conversation about Pilates and what it's supposed to look like and how it's supposed to feel in your body. Scoop Pilates and PT just rolled in. Like that's another example of a guy, Pilates guy, personal trainer, like his worldview and what he brings to the Pilates, what he brings to the mat is different. So I love that. I love highlighting all the amazing people out there.
Mm-hmm. Well, do you know what I did? I was in a workshop it was really exciting. I went to Germany at the start of September, and I was part of the North German Pilates conference, presenting there. And one of the subjects that I did was going with the flow as what I learned from Lolita. That was my 3-hour workshop of one of them. And I started by asking who were the people in the audience, because I can tell them my story and say how I got there, and that's mildly interesting to me, but whatever. But they, like, every single story that we got was fascinating, heartbreaking, enthusing. It's like, but there was, out of the whole room, there was one dancer who had a fascinating story and a lovely experience, absolutely valid in all senses. But we just all of the stories were so valid and worthwhile, and yet unconventional in what we expect a Pilates teacher to be. And I think what we all came out with feeling at the end of it was that hopefully we all felt a little bit better about our own path and our own journey being something that we can carry on. That was really cool.
Absolutely. That's my wife encouraging us to get on a plane and go to Germany. So,
oh, Hanover is cool. It's a lovely place.
Yes. All right, my friend. I have a podcast to do that started a minute ago, so I can jump on.
Go get onto it. I've got a Terra in the living room to go and sort out. So perfect timing.
Thank you. All right, man. Joe, I really appreciate you and all the work you're doing. Looking forward to jumping into your class and getting my butt kicked again.
Yeah, thanks. Anytime. Always a pleasure. Cheers, mate.
Yeah, all right. Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
See you, dude.